I got a question for y'all to kind of lead to the podcast.
All right.
All ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Who do you put on there for the hip hop Mount Rushmore of New York? I would say without Jay Z and Nas.
Now, Cameron.
Okay.
What about like somebody like Big Pun?
Yep, I was thinking that too.
Let me clarify. So when you ask this question, are you saying it just on skill set? Or are you talking about like one of the people that led the way?
We're not. Yeah, we're talking about people who led the way, not like the technical rappers.
Oh, okay. So I'll put Diddy on there also.
Okay.
What about LL?
Would he be
Yeah.
on the Mount Rushmore though?
Yeah, how can he not be then?
I mean, I know, I hear you. I'm asking. That's all.
Nah, yeah. I could see if it's only 4 spots, LL deserves a right, like from a music artist standpoint.
I think Diddy does for sure though.
Yeah, like, but see, to me, it's hard doing that because it's like, damn, that's hard, bro. Because then it kind of goes back to that conversation we had the other day about like the different eras of music and stuff. But like, cause there's different, it's different New York artists that like, it's a lot of new, like we at the same time you have like the Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah,
You
but
know?
I feel like some people just stand the test of time, and it's like, hey, like this is like one of the like Jay Z will forever be one of the guys in rap. I will never be mad at anyone for having Jay Z in the top 5 for any time period. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
So there are people like that in New York. It's just hard to sort through them all because it's like who had the most, like who would be those dudes? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm talking influence, I may say 50 Cent, just off the fly, 50 Cent, Diddy, Cameron, or Dipset, either way you want to put it. And out of New York, um, I don't. The fourth one is hard. I gotta think on the fourth one because that's hard, bro.
Just I only have Big Pun and LL on there. You already said Diddy. The only other person I could think of a tie between the two would be like Big L or KRS-One. But
I can see that. I
Yeah.
can see that. Or Rakim. Because Rakim, I think Rakim is one of the people that helped follow that style for like a person like Nas or whatever.
That's
Like,
fair enough.
which ones are yours?
Mine? I don't know. I
Yeah.
was thinking about it the other day. It, I don't know, man. Like it's tough because like I was thinking, let me just take out Jay Z and Nas because like I feel like those are two easy go tos. Like as far as like New York artists who had like careers, specifically Jay Z though, because of
Right.
like the career he had outside of rap as well.
Right.
But I mean, like off the top of my head, I want to put Big Pun in there, Diddy in there, Biggie might be in there somewhere. Like, but I mean, like I think you have to.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like let's take him out of this because I feel like he's in that same space as as like Jay Z. So why are you putting Big Pun there? I'm curious.
Because I feel like he influenced a lot of rappers. Like I think Big Pun, like as far as being able to rap the way he did, and like also I think what he meant for like the Puerto Rican, community as far as Puerto Rican rap, I think he meant a lot.
I,
Right.
I think I think like Big Pun. Yes, like if you notice, like with Hispanic rappers, they're really they're either big and they're either big in New York or they're big in California, right? And you're starting to
Right.
see where they're gaining traction, and like in Texas. Now you always had Hispanic rappers in Texas, but like far as like when you talk about rap music, nobody really talks about the Texas rappers like that, unless you're a Texas fan or you're from the area. But if you're from the East Coast like we are, you're mainly talking about New York or California when it comes to Hispanic rappers. But shouts out to all the Spanish Texas rappers. I think Big Pun was like a pioneer for New York for Hispanic rappers. Because like when I'm thinking of Hispanic rappers, I can't think of anybody before Big Pun. Because after Big Pun, you could start bringing up. Okay, you got Fat Joe's. Then now you could, of course, 6ix9ine, who's there now. Then you got motherfuckers that
I
that
would
that
bring up Fat Joe before Big Pun because if there's no Fat Joe, you don't get a Big Pun.
I thought Big Pun was before Fat Joe.
No, Big Pun had like Cartagena had came out well before Big Pun was ever around.
See,
And he ended up signing Fat Joe ended up signing Big Pun. Because
well, see that.
Big Pun didn't come out to like the late 90s while his first album didn't come out until like the late 90s, I believe, while Big Pun, well, not Big Pun, but Fat Joe, I think his first album came out in like, I think Cartagena came out in what, like 93, 94.
Well, see, but that goes to show. See, you just educated me on something. I thought Big Pun, like he was kind of like the face of Hispanic rap music, man. And I feel like that after Big Pun, now you start. I mean, yeah, Fat. You just said that Fat Joe's been there, but like besides those two, now you start to see more Hispanic rappers, coming out from New York and shit like that and recognized. And I just think Big Pun was just like there that solidified the whole game. Like, hey, Spanish people could rap too. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I'll definitely give you that because Pun was definitely one of those artists that had like he got a lot of respect. Did you guys ever see that freestyle he had with it was him, Most Def, Cannabis, DMX, and Black Thought from the
Who?
No.
Roots?
Who are you talking about?
It was a freestyle with all of them and Big Pun.
Mm.
Like it's a crazy freestyle because it's like actually funny enough, Cannabis was like, "Oh, I want to anchor," so he ends up being the last one to rap, but and which ends up being the verse that he disses LL Cool J with, right? But the verse before his is Big Pun's, and it's like you heard every MC besides Pun and Cannabis, and it was like, oh, everybody just kept topping each other, right? And I think Mike Geronimo was in this also. And then next thing you know, boom, Pun raps, kills everybody with and it was just like a freestyle cipher. So like I can definitely understand that because Pun was extremely well respected.
Yo, not to switch topics, and I agree with your point, Spence.
Right.
But this is something that kind of like we were talking about related to Connor. So did you know last night that Cello, when he fought Derevyanchenko, I hope I'm not mispronouncing his last name.
Yeah.
You know that their event was sponsored by Conor McGregor's whiskey.
Really?
Nah, really.
Yes. Yeah, man.
Connor's getting that bread.
When you said like, oh, he's going broke, I'm like, I don't know about that, man. I think he just wants the easiest fights possible. That's it.
Well, y'all just want to start the
I
show before we get into it because we didn't
mean,
do an official start.
yo, what's going on, everybody? You checking in right now? This is the Highly Advised Podcast. It's me, Spence. I'm with me and a couple of my boys. It's episode 28. Fellas, say what's up.
Yo, 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 it's your boy Be Cozy, Too Cozy, aka the main event, aka Mr. 10 Bricks a Week. How are you doing, Nigel? How you doing, Spence?
Yeah, what's going on, y'all? This is Nigel here to bring y'all another one. Episode 28, I think it is.
Yeah, 28.
All right,
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Yeah.
How y'all been?
Man, I can't call it, man. Same old, same shit as always. New week, new tasks, complete, defeat. So that's how I'm moving, man. That's how I'm rocking. No worries a bootsy.
I'm doing good, man. And this week was better than last week. I'm ready for next week to start so I could get to the weekend again. Not because I'm living for the weekend, but I'm starting to get to the phase where I'm sick of school. So
Yeah.
I don't blame you, man. That's part of the reason why I don't want to go back to school at all. Like, I feel like I just don't need to, and it's like I also just don't want that feeling of I can't wait to be done with this shit.
Yeah. I mean, but I'll keep it a buck with you though. Like now that I'm done, you it it's a pain, but like as long as you know like what you're going there for, like if you got an objective, you'll get through it. It is a pain though. I'm not gonna hold you. Like it's a pain and you definitely gonna be stressed out, tired, not want to be bothered, thinking like, yo, I only got like an hour of time, of free time. I think I'm gonna just take a 20-minute nap, eat something for like 10 minutes, and then get dressed to go on to the next destination. Like
Yeah.
life becomes systematic, but you'll be good, man. Like I don't know what to tell you. Like you be straight. You be straight. It's a pain though.
that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that I'm good, man, because school, man, it's winning these rounds right now, and I got to come back and win these championship rounds so I could get that goddamn belt.
Yeah, man. You got to be the last one at the end of the road with the title, man. That's all that is,
Yeah,
dog.
yes,
Think
sir.
about that. It's crazy though. Like honestly, like when you really think about life to some extent, if you really, it really can be personified by
Yeah.
boxing
Yeah,
or MMA. It's just like yo, you just got a bad round. You got to take a round off. Life, oh damn, they getting the best of you, just like your man's last night.
I compare it to music a lot. I'm like, hey, if you can get a few hits in, you might be good. You know what I mean? Especially if you get that knockout hit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
yeah,
and on top of it, it's crazy, but like low key, some people are just like one hit wonders. Like, like if you think about it,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you have some people that were like the person in high school, and you see where they never like grow out of that, right? That's
Yeah.
like a one hit wonder. Like you was pop, you had that one song early on in your career when no one really knew, like when you was like in a smaller market
Mm.
and it popped, and then after that it just didn't work out. So
Some people say that about Connor. I mean, but I think if you follow the sport closely enough, that you know it's not true. Like, you know what I mean? Connor just kind of came proving his thing and like, you know, was around for a little bit.
yeah, but you know, I think what some people probably gonna argue with Connor at some point is like when you look at when people go back and look, he did face good talent, but I think people are going to say he was fed people to just to get to that spot, get up to that spot. Which even if you gave him the easiest road to the title, he still has to defend this shit at the end of the day. Well,
So
but he never defended the title though. Actually,
nah, he never really defended the title. And
yo, he's
that's the
not a real
thing.
champion.
That's
Then
the thing that's really crazy about it. So like it's weird and like I mean I think that personally it looks like they're feeding him the Pacquiao for real with his new
yeah,
fights coming up.
yeah, man, it's bogus though. It's completely
What do you mean?
bogus because I think like I say it's bogus because one, I agree that they are more than likely going to give Conor that fight, right? But
Mm-hmm.
it's bogus because you just have like this. You just have this fight with Donald Cerrone in the beginning of the year. Then at some point in the year, because of this COVID thing, there's this whole conversation about you fighting Khabib if Tony goes out and all this extra stuff, right? And then it becomes, oh, you're going to be fighting to try to get the belt soon and everything. And I understand COVID switched things up, but now you go from that to saying, "Oh, I'm gonna just go fight Pacquiao." For all that, I'd rather him try to fight someone that to be a number one contender
Right.
at this point, in comparison to go fight Pacquiao, who Pacquiao if Pacquiao pieces him up is going to be a conversation, and he's probably going to milk it so he can fight Floyd after that. Because it's like at this point, to me, Conor is like just running for money, and to some extent, when you think about it, he's one of the people that I could see them arguing about his validity down the line in the history books for someone
That's what I'm
that
saying. Conor McGregor did come in and he won 2 belts, regardless of like if you want to say like he was fed people in the beginning or not. He came and proved himself, especially after the first Chad Mendes, or I should say the Chad Mendes fight before the Jose Aldo fight. So it's one of those things where I think he did enough to cement himself. What I will say about like this matchup with Manny Pacquiao though is that it's clearly for money, like because if he wanted to actually take his MMA career seriously at this point in time, then I think he would just be either waiting in the wings or be able to fight a contender. He doesn't want to fight unless it's for a belt, and he doesn't want to fight unless it's essentially at his leisure. He's doing this because it's quick money. Even if he wins, loses, he gets paid. Doesn't matter. And I'm sure he also thinks he's staying active while getting paid the most money. That's all I think it is for Conor McGregor. And I like Conor McGregor.
yeah. What he's doing is, Dr. Umar Johnson esque, and like he's he's scamming fans and stuff, out of their money. And I think
yeah
it's just very I think it's ridiculous, this Pacquiao fight is something that he doesn't need to do.
No.
right
And it's obviously to get like another 9-figure payday or at least a high 8-figure payday. And I think it's not fair for his fans or the people that support him, in his fighting career, because it's like, look, we want to see you fight Tony Ferguson. We want you, some of us want to see the rematch of Dustin Poirier. Some of us, want to see you to fight Habib again to see, like, are you worth that or not? So I just feel like that him going after Pacquiao is a joke, man, because I think Pacquiao's gonna spank him. He's gonna
He's gonna
spank
dog
him.
him.
Yeah,
Hell
he's not gonna try to carry him like Floyd did. And I like the fight he had with Floyd. I thought it was very entertaining. But anybody that watches combat sports like we do, we understand like Floyd could have finished that fight a little earlier than what he did. You know what I mean? So it's one of those. Hey, you fooled me once. I don't know if you could fool me twice again.
But
So.
here's the thing about the whole fight, though, right? It's like even the only way he really loses any serious stock, he has to get knocked out by Manny Pacquiao. Because if he loses, they'll say, "Oh, well, he's fighting a boxer. He needs to come over to MMA and really see what it's about." If he wins, it's like, okay, well, Manny Pacquiao is old. Like he should have beat him, and he did pretty good against Floyd Mayweather. So it's not hard to believe. It's like
nah,
it's
I think if he beats Manny Pacquiao, he's gonna get a lot of praise because even though Manny's older, Manny's still fighting some of like some of the top talent right now and still whooping her ass. So
that's fair enough.
He may end up if he was to beat him, like if he was to stop him, let's say, right, which I
Yeah,
highly doubt.
that's not
Highly
happening.
doubt.
Right.
Highly doubt. If it would have happened, it would be like a one-off. Like he's got a better chance knocking Manny out instead.
But if that happens, they probably have a rematch.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
I was going to say, like, if he beats Manny Pacquiao, because Manny Pacquiao is not under the corrupt Bob Arum anymore. He's with Al Heyman, where they seem like they do better boxing business over there. If he beats Manny Pacquiao, and I don't think he'll have a chance in hell to do that. But if he beats Manny Pacquiao, they might try to fuel that into the Floyd Mayweather rematch. Like
Yeah.
I could see it now, and it's like what. And that's the thing about Conor that pisses a lot of people off. Like they like him, they support him, they like his character, but when he does this whole money fight shit that he brought upon the whole UFC, it really just it creates a what they call a circus. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like just remove the guy from the lightweight rankings. Because at this point it's like, is he going to fight at lightweight again? Is he going to go up to welterweight? Because they were talking about him at one point fighting Kamaru Usman for the belt, which, in my honest opinion, I'm kind of like he doesn't deserve a title shot at welterweight. You know what I
Right.
mean? Beating Donald Cerrone doesn't earn you a title shot at welterweight.
Right.
Let alone, still think he needs to fight one person before getting a rematch at the lightweight belt. And I just think that this whole thing is what you guys been saying. Hey, I'm gonna get myself a big ass payday fighting Manny Pacquiao. I know I'm gonna get spanked. I know I'm gonna get brought to my knees, but I'm gonna walk out, $100 million richer again.
Exactly. Like it's a good come up for him, but it's I don't think people realize that you take a chance at ruining your career by doing something like this. Because just like how we had talked about the whole Tyson thing and Anthony Joshua fight, like if Tyson was to fight Anthony Joshua, right? How it's not beneficial for him at the end of the day. Like how I said, it's a lose-lose situation. And in this situation for Conor, it's a lose-lose situation. If well, for in a sense, it's a win. In his case, it's more of a win-lose. But like if he loses to Pacquiao, it's still a okay, you're doing this, but it's like you said for money fights, and we're tired of seeing this. I want to see you actually in the sport that I like you for. But if he was to win, it's like Nigel said, even though Pacquiao is winning and beating people, if let's say Pacquiao just doesn't have a good career following that, people would just say, "Oh, you just caught Pacquiao on his downturn."
Right. Exactly. I mean,
So
honestly, I think that argument can be made right now anyway.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
I think people would definitely make that. I mean, to be honest with you, if Conor was to win and he had to fight someone else, I and it wouldn't. That's the thing. It wouldn't be really as much money in it. I think it could generate more money as if he fought one of the Charlo brothers or some shit like that.
Right.
But
He would
that
get killed and murdered. I'm
but
not gonna lie to you on that. He would get killed in that fight.
well, I think that's the thing, right? Like Connor is he's a very smart person, right?
Facts.
He knows that these fucking boxers, they're not going to come fight him at MMA, right? Because the boxers, as much as we could criticize them, we got to give them credit. Like they know damn well, like they don't last, they
Right.
won't last very too long in the octagon. But so when Connor's crossing over, he's taking on people that he doesn't have a chance, I guess, but it's still like, okay, he may because he's fighting he's fighting old boxers, right?
Right.
Floyd in his 40s, Pacquiao in his 40s. We won't see Conor fight Canelo. We won't see him fight a Triple G. We
Hell,
won't. We
heck
won't.
no.
We won't see him fight, like you said, the Charlo brothers. We won't
Right.
see him fight a Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence. You know what I mean? We
Somebody
won't
who
see
would
him.
really fuck him up.
Exactly. So what he's doing is smart. He's fighting the biggest name for the biggest check, even though he'll still lose. But it's more because if he were to fight any of the guys I already mentioned, they'd clean him up first or second round. They'd clean him up because, as anybody with common sense in combat sports knows, his boxing doesn't translate to the elite level of boxing. You know, and MMA, he's the shit in MMA, right? When it comes to his boxing, but when it's just the Queensberry rule set, he is limited, and
No, you're right.
and a lot of fans see through that shit. It's a joke, and I just hope that I hope the Pacquiao fight doesn't happen. It's just talk, and I hope that he look. I'd rather see Conor get an immediate title shot at lightweight than him fight fucking Pacquiao. I'd rather see that.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about elite level fighting, we saw some of that last night when your boy. Well, actually, we had 2 title fights last night, so not just your boy Lyle, but also Dominic Reyes got his ass whipped. So that was cool. Enjoyed that.
Yeah, I was happy about that one, man. Blackwood's he cut all of that out.
Yeah.
So like, there's no more like, because I think the thing with Reyes was Reyes ever since his fight with John Jones, he always felt as though like, yo, I'm the guy. John's running from me, and blah 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 blah. And then you go and see now, it's like, oh, Blackwood's shut all of that down. That left hand, that left hand's not going to do much for you. I'm not going to be running into you. Like, I think. We're going to get into the Adesanya fight, but I definitely want to say this. Like, I think looking at both of those fights, you can definitely tell, or just looking at this fight with Jan Blachowicz especially, you could tell like, oh, at this elite level, you got to be methodical in the way you fight. You can't just say, let me try to lure someone in or rely on this one punch. Like, you saw what happened to Deontay Wilder when he tried to do that in boxing.
Yeah.
And that's just with your hands.
Yeah.
So like, you doing this where it's a full body contact sport, you got to be smarter than that. So,
like what I was saying last night when they were actually fighting, like it was weird because you saw him like sometimes he cock his left hand back in order like to ready to get him with the counter, but when he was backing him up towards the fence, he was kind of more or less moving towards like his right side, so his left hand couldn't reach him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and that was smart.
It was smart, but at the same time, when you watch the John Jones fight, John Jones was always walking forward. He was walking forward towards Dominic. And Dominic does great fighting back. He's a counter striker and all that stuff. So I felt like he fought, and I remember saying this a few podcasts ago. I said, because the way he fought John doesn't mean that it's going to work on Jan.
Right.
Jan, he walked forward, so this way he was in front of him, but he wasn't trying to pressure him. You know what I mean? It was like he was picking his shots, and he was like forcing Dominic to fight, you know what I mean? Like he was forcing him to come forward, and he kept letting that high body kick. He was leaving that big ass red mark on the side of his torso, and it was just. I thought Jan did a great job, man, and I think people were sleeping on him because of the whole Reyes and John Jones situation.
Shouts out to Ariel Helwani, just kind of talking about Dominic Reyes like he was the next champ, guaranteed. For real. Nah, that shit was irritating, man. It's like, come on, you gotta get off his dick a little.
So like and my bad, Spencer, I don't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no,
but just with Jan Blachowicz, man, it just goes to show like because John Jones is no longer in the division, quote unquote, there is other good fighters and all that, but because John has dominated so fucking long, it kind of blinds people that hey, the division sucks, and Blachowicz just showed like, hey man, I'm a really good fighter. I hope to see him do well, and we'll see how that division goes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Quick question though, like how'd y'all feel about Blachowicz calling out John Jones just because we know John has gone to the extent of letting go of his belt just so he can move up to the heavyweight division, renegotiate his contract for heavyweight. Now that he's out, it's like instead of Blockowitz trying to call up somebody else that's moving up the ranks for the next number one contender, instead of saying, "Hey, I'm trying to solidify me defending the belt," how do you feel about him trying to pull someone like John Jones back into the division?
In a way, I didn't take it as kind of like a money fight thing. I think he was just like, "Hey, I want to fight the best,"
Mm,
and he knows John is the best, so I took it as like that. I don't think he's going to get it though. I think they're going to end up giving him somebody else. But I see the UFC really setting it up where John is going to fight for the heavyweight belt, and John's the next fight.
I think it's a mixture of, doing the best and doing what will make the most money. Because at the end of the day, like, if he were to fight John Jones, like, not only would he, be fighting the best, he would be getting paid. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where I think it's just like mutually beneficial if it happens that way. If not, then I'm sure he would take the number one contender, who should be Thiago Santos or Glover Teixeira. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't hurt, even if he doesn't fight him, because it just shows that he's ready to do so. There's always a conversation to be had, and that's a good
yeah,
thing.
yeah, it's good. I think it's good at least for as a fighter, at least to know, because like they say, anytime you step on the mic, I remember Dana saying that about I think Kobe Covington when he first found him. He was like, one thing about it is when you get on the mic, you should be able to say who you want to fight next, or and it was him or it was Mickey
Chael Sonnen.
Gall. It was Mickey Gall. I was thinking of Mickey Gall
Oh, okay.
because as soon as Mickey Gall had won, he had called out CM Punk or whatever. But it was just like, but he had did it in front of Dana, and Dana was saying like, when you win, when you make a big win, when you have a great performance and you win, you need to make sure you know who to call out next. So I guess I can't be too mad at it. I mean, I think he should. He's calling out the best, so it makes sense. But I think he should just try to solidify like his space in that division, because if he clears that division out, the conversation is going to be he needs to fight John Jones, even if John is doing good at heavyweight.
I agree.
Yeah, it's going to get louder.
Let your actions speak louder than your words and shit. So, like that elite level of fighters, though, like watching that Adesanya fight last night, it showed like how going into that fight, I remember we was talking about how you wasn't sure what was going to happen between Paul Acosta and Adesanya, because I remember Lyle said it's like, yo, I don't know who could win. This fight can go either way. And Adesanya had no room for none of that shit, man.
Yeah, he made it look like it was kind of easy for real, for real.
Yeah. Took his ass to school.
Yeah. Straight picked them apart from top to bottom, body shots, leg shots. What was up with this whole thing where he just kept taunting him, though, man?
So I think what a lot of people are saying, and what we were getting at last night, was his game plan was, I'm going to make Izzy so mad that he's going to come in and rush me, and I think I'm just going to knock him out with some shots that I got once he gets in my area. And like I said, like to y'all last night, it's crazy. Like, the thing about this fight and the Yoel fight that I don't really understand is I get that Izzy is a counter striker. Like, he's good at counter striking, but he's also the champ. You can't just like say, oh, okay, if I just cruise through this fight and he looks a little bit worse than me, he's going to win, or I'm going to win. Like, no, you have to go and beat the champion definitively and make sure you put a mark on the match.
Exactly.
Well,
Totally agree.
I think with the taunting thing, I was watching a little bit of Chael Sonnen's post fight, like his thoughts and discussions, and he believed that the game plan for Costa was the first like 2 to 3 rounds, he was gonna like not do much, so this way in the 4th or 5th round he can explode. But at the same time, Chael is like, that was kind of like a silly game plan.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, you're now giving rounds and points away to Adesanya. And let's say you let him get in a groove so well that by the time you're in the 4th or 5th round trying to blow your load to knock him out or whatever, it might be way too late,
Yeah.
It's like it's to me, when I was watching it last night, I was like, why is he taunting? And he's not throwing anything. Like, it's ridiculous.
You see him taunting, and it's like, it's crazy because that fight ended in the 2nd round.
Yeah.
But it seemed like the beating for the first 2 rounds just seemed like it was like a 3 or 4 round fight damn near.
Yeah.
And it's like, at what point do you just say you have to jump ship and say, yo, listen, I'm taking too much damage. Like, his legs started turning red from all the leg kicks.
Yeah.
Like, at what point do you just say, like, yeah, I got to jump ship. And I just got to start fighting back. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think by that time it might have been too late.
It clearly, because clearly by then, like you could see where his leg, he couldn't even put as much pressure as he wanted on his lead leg at some point. So
Yeah, man. Adesanya, he broke him down, and as you see, Costa started. As soon as he started throwing more punches, Adesanya was able to counter him, and then
yeah,
ended up hitting with the left hook, and then dropped him, made him kiss the mat.
facts. What do you think? Like with a victory like this, right, from Adesanya, and knowing like the pressure that came walking into this fight, what do you think is the best move for Adesanya moving forward?
He was saying like he's not now that John Jones has moved up, he's not turning down like a chance to fight at light heavyweight 205 or whatever, but he wants to do what Anderson Silva did, which is defend his belt in middleweight and really solidify himself as like
One of the champs.
one of the champs, one of the greatest, fighters, and try to have the same legacy that Anderson Silva had. And I could respect that as a fighter, man, because like this whole money fight, champ era shit has really like fucked the game up, right? Because like you'll have people like, you know, for example, Henry Cejudo, and I think Henry Cejudo is a great fighter, but he'll win one fight and he's ready to jump up and fight the champion above him.
Yeah.
And then he was even talking about fighting Alexander Volkanovski, and I'm like, yo, like,
what was it for the 4C or 3C
Yeah.
or some shit like that?
Yeah, 4C.
yeah,
It's crazy
like-
to me.
That shit is it's so annoying. It's like at some point, and sorry to cut you off. I don't want
No,
to
you're
cut you
good,
off
you're
too
good.
much, but nah, it's just at some point, it's like I get it. Like there is some there. Well, just because you see it work for Conor doesn't necessarily mean like though it could work for you, it's not going to work to the same degree. Like someone like Henry Cejudo, it's not like he wasn't bringing people in. He wasn't filling up seats prior to him even beating DJ.
Well,
So like he had lost the first time, and even the second time when he won, it wasn't like he was filling up arenas. He realized, yo, like fighters like him and there's other fighters that look the same way. Yo, I'm gonna just call out somebody else. I'll move up. It'd be something interesting to see. So, but it's stupid at the same time. I'm glad you do have someone like Adesanya coming back to restoring the feeling pretty much.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like what I've noticed is that I think the most high period of time where everybody was begging for the money shot was right around the Michael Bisping GSP time. Cody Garbrandt, he was like trying to fight maybe like I think a weight class above him and fight like the 45 champ at that point in time. I think it was Max Holloway.
Max Holloway, yeah.
And it's just like, come on, man. Like nobody even cares to see that shit. Like, you know what I mean? Then he just got knocked out by TJ in the next fight after he said that.
Yeah.
See, but that's where I think it goes back to when we were talking about Conor earlier. Like Conor is to blame for all of that, man.
He is.
Like,
He is. I agree with you, man. Because like after he knocked out Jose Aldo, there was talks of like, okay, Frankie Edgar's next, or Jose Aldo rematch might happen. He goes up and he's booked for a fight against Rafael dos Anjos when he was the champion. So I agree with you, man. Conor is to blame for the champ buddy era shit.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like it's crazy how someone can like have that type of influence and like ruin it for people. But at least with someone like Adesanya, at least we're seeing someone that's trying to restore that feeling. Like I think, like I was saying to you guys last night, I think a fighter like him, definitely where he's like sitting down saying, "Yo, I want to just clear out my division." Boom. Like I think he may end up being one of those people that's a face for like what's going on. Not, more of a face to bring in that new crowd, a bigger crowd. Because I'm not sure if y'all saw, but he actually was one of the people like out there marching at some point doing like the I think I'm not sure if it was for Breonna Taylor or Black Lives Matter. So I think someone like him, just in terms of like that young demographic of people that are more from his culture that are probably going to be more geared with them. So I'm interested to see what happens with him, though.
I could see some late teens, early 20s really gravitating towards Israel Adesanya as like a person or like a figure instead of like just being a fighter. You know what I mean? And I think it would be kind of cool though because like he hits a lot of the points for that generation. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Imagine like because I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with the news that came out. I think it was Thursday, with the verdict with Breonna Taylor. But like I think even someone like him, I think he would be able to make volumes by being able to be someone that after winning and saying, "Yo, I need to be here for the people as well," being a social person as well. So
Yeah, I wish he would have said something last night with all the news that we got. You know what I mean? And it's not
yeah,
definitely not on him, but there's been a lot of chatter going on about like this actual charge they brought against one of the officers, one out of the 3 or 4, if I'm not
what
mistaken.
what was it called? Like wonton?
Wanton endangerment,
Dangerment. Yeah.
I've never heard
aka
of it.
shooting a wall.
Huh?
So because the apartment next to them had like a wife, a kid, and a father, they said, "Hey, like you got in trouble for putting their lives in danger."
Yeah, yeah. So he got indicted, charged for some other shit that wasn't even the focal point of
Yeah.
the
Other than the
problem.
killing that happened in the actual apartment they were
Yeah,
in.
Yeah.
that's crazy. Completely unfortunate because we spoke about this recently, where the city I came to her family, to Breonna Taylor's family, and settled with like $12 million.
Yeah.
And they said they were selling for 12. They were willing to settle for $12 million, and but the family also asked for like changes within the system of that city. So you go see, because to me, like I said before, anytime I'm willing to pay you without having to apologize, that's me. There's some admission of guilt, right? Someone can have the perspective of you're essentially saying you did this without saying I'm sorry. To have something like that, to be able to get to receive the money and pretty much acknowledges like something went wrong and
Yeah.
someone is wrong for it, but to have this be the result for like the people that were involved in this whole situation, because they're still charging her boyfriend like he was like they're charging her boyfriend like this had not like this was just a regular crime.
They're doing her really dirty. It's one of those things where it's like, somebody actually died, and it's like you at the least you can say like manslaughter, you know what I mean? Something, you know what I mean? Because it's like there's so much like little falsities with their investigation into her situation that like it just surprises me that there hasn't been like a serious investigation into this.
That
Yeah,
and the thing about it that sucks about it, right? You have Daniel Cameron, right? The the fucking the attorney. It the no, he's not an attorney. What is he? No, he's the DA, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think
So
so.
I look at it and I'm like, look, this shit is crazy, man, because like I seen the argument, oh well the boyfriend was shooting at the police officers or whatever like that. I'm like, okay, it doesn't change the fact that because of the boyfriend's actions, she still got killed, you
Right.
know? So like what about her justice? You know what I mean? It wasn't
Right.
like it was like a planned shootout and like a premeditated thing.
Right.
She was at her home and unfortunately she got killed. And why can't she receive some type of justice from
Right.
it? She didn't pick up the gun and start firing back. You know what I mean? Like that, and maybe somebody can educate me better on that whole thing. But just looking at it from like a human's perspective, I'm like, just from reading everything about the whole situation, it's just like it makes no sense why she isn't, why none of the cops are getting in trouble for that.
Yeah. So I know I'm not sure if you're familiar with, because of like the games in the NBA and when this whole thing happened, it was like the same night as a game night.
Yeah,
And I'm not sure if you're familiar that Charles Barkley he shared his opinions on the whole thing and pretty much doesn't feel as though anything's wrong with the judgment, right? And Shaquille O'Neal as well lended his opinion to it, right? And Shaq, with Shaq being a police officer, his opinion was, and I just want to know how you feel about this from his perspective as active police officer. Is he's like, we don't go in there we're not going in there with the mentality of shooting to kill or having to kill someone. But I think more than likely, from what it sounds like, is they came in and he's saying, well, if the cops feel as though he's shooting at them, they're going to shoot back, right? So like it's felt as though and I'm not gonna hold you. Social media was killed Shaq, and I don't like using the term killed, but like they was dragging Shaq through the mud, him and Charles Barkley for that statement. Like how do you feel just hearing his perspective, just at least being a cop? It's a touchy subject, so I understand, but like him being a cop and having that perspective, how do you feel just hearing that perspective of it?
Here's my thing about it, right? My bad, Lyle.
No,
But
no, you're good.
here's my thing about it. Like, if they did the investigation right from the sounds of it, because it sounds like they shouldn't have been there anyway, then they wouldn't have had to worry about, having that feeling. Like, if they were in the right spot, they were in the wrong place in the first place. So they messed up immediately. Like, leaving to go to this place, they messed up. So it's like, hey, like, one, you're not supposed to be here. Two, like, if you burst in, if I go and knock on somebody's door or try and get into somebody's car that isn't mine, they might think I'm trying to steal from them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's things like that happen, but it's like, if you're not supposed to be there, then yeah, like, somebody might take like some form of like try retaliation, try to defend themselves because he doesn't know what's going on, and
Yeah,
they're in a plainclothes investigation, right?
I think so.
So just think about the way that looks to somebody who's not expecting that in any type of way whatsoever. It's gonna look
Yeah, like
crazy.
yeah, like you seeing someone come through, and even if it's not, but like if I'm just chilling at my house and let's say I'm just sleeping and someone just kicks in the door and I don't know who it is. It's just it's a very unfortunate situation where like it's just so much that can happen that make to prevent something like this situation from happening. Long story short, like the end result should have not been the end result at the end of the day, and I think many people share that same sentiment. I think it's just like it's if things were handled more properly, I agree it would be easier. And I think if things were handled more properly, and then if there was if new laws are set in place to make sure something like this is prevented, I think it's easily feasible. It's just if are they going to do it? That's the question, I think. And even in the process of doing it, because I know after this was the judgment, I heard that the courthouse got burned down out there. Like they really flipped out, which I mean I could understand. Like I'm not saying if it's right or wrong, but I understand like yo, how does anybody feel safe in their community knowing like hey they messed up, we messed up, but we're going to pretty much give them a slap on the wrist where it's like one because the wanton endangerment I think it carries a charge of up to a minimum of 1 year, but a maximum of 5 years. The number that they'll get paid, the number that they'll be getting in terms of time is so insignificant in comparison to the action. So when you have people rioting and stuff like that, it's like it's just it's so much change that's going to come from it, and it's just I think this may be something similar to what we've seen in history before. There's so many words, man. It's really unfortunate though. Outside of just this Breonna Taylor thing, because that happened Thursday, right?
Right.
So I don't know if y'all were familiar, but um, we all been covering this Meg Thee Stallion story for a minute.
Oh boy.
So yeah, so like
You,
that
you say
same
we're not familiar. We know what happened.
I mean, I'm setting the mood. I'm setting the mood. I gotta get
we
the people. I
we've
gotta
been
draw the people in.
nah, man. We've been waiting to talk about this. I'm ready. I'm ready to
I,
go. You already know.
I know. I
Well,
know. You gotta have patience, young grasshopper. Have
Nah,
patience.
I'm ready.
I was gonna say, like, you guys are definitely gonna lead the charge on this Tory Lanez situation, because I didn't listen to the album. I can only go off what I've seen off of social media on what people were saying about stuff,
Right.
and whatever lyrics I was posted about it. So I can't give any like real criticism of the music, but
Right.
what I what I will say, and I want to say my piece first because I'm pretty sure you guys could deep dive into it. It's just that this is kind of like dividing the people, right? Because you got some people there are like, oh well, there's two sides to every story. Tory's telling the truth, and Megan was trying to smear her. Then you have the other side, like, hey, the black woman is the most disrespected person in America, let
Right.
alone the world. Why is it that people are switching sides so fast? Like, why can't she get any type of defense? Blah blah blah. So I can see like this album is very controversial.
Yeah.
This album's not being supported by any DSPs, any of the media outlets that cover music. They're not supporting this album, but it's just kind of like uh, it's a topic right now, man. It's very controversial. Whether the music is good or not is definitely a focal point for a lot of people in this situation.
it's a crazy the album. So I'll put it like this, right? So Tory Lanez puts out this whole thing Thursday, and for the listeners, so just so they can get an idea where this conversation is going to go. Tory Lanez, he puts out the same day that Breonna Taylor has this the charge for the wanton endangerment happens. You end up having Tory Lanez putting out a post later that day, I believe, talking about 9 p.m. Pacific time. There's a lot that I have to say, but I'm done being silent. Tune in 9 p.m. Pacific, right? So most people think it's a lie. We trying to figure out if it's 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 12 o'clock hits. Realize it's not 11, 12 o'clock hits. You go on this Instagram, you check it. It's nothing there. Keep refreshing it. There's no Instagram live. I go on Apple Music. I go on his Instagram page and I see he had put out an album. I'll go to Apple Music. Not on Apple Music, not on Spotify. So I go to Twitter. I'm going through the Twitter streets. I'm looking through everything. And I'm like, where is Tory Lanez's album? I'm serious. I'm like, yo, where is Tory Lanez's album? Like, he dropped this. I know he dropped this. This is a huge thing. I know they're not about to blackball this guy. I go on Twitter. I find the SoundCloud link. 17 songs, an hour and 20 minutes. I listen to this joint. As soon as I press play, it starts off with just all the negative stuff you hear in the tabloids, and I'm like, yeah,
Joe Buttons, the Breakfast Clubs, all the outlets.
Yes, he even had Meg Thee Stallion's Instagram live in that.
Shit, he had Bun B in there.
Yeah, but it sets the tone for what he talks about in this album, bro. And granted, I don't want to, and this is a very touchy subject at the end of the day because of the actions that came about. But long story short, this album is a reflection of the events that happened that night and his chance to speak from his perspective on that night and everything in between. So, man,
like, here's my thing, right?
So you think he was smashing her?
I mean, according to Tory, he was in love with her. Like, let's, get past the whole just fucking part. Like, they apparently had like a thing. He's just like, look, man, like, I know the situation was bad, but how do you know it was me if you weren't looking my way? And like, he was just like, look, like he goes into his detail about like all the situations, whatever, and like makes it more of a he said, she said for certain people and whatever. And it's just kind of crazy though, because at the end of the day, it appears that Meg Stallion got shot, and regardless, it's a crazy situation to just kind of rap about on your album. You know what I mean? Which is a smart marketing for him, but it's kind of crazy that he did it like that.
Yeah. So this is my thing, right? Because I think it's a song. Well, there's a couple of songs on here that stand out, right? But outside of like the songs that just kind of go over,
like the dancehall one.
I don't even remember which one that was.
It was towards the end of the album. I don't know.
I think it was probably In the Air or something like that. But I mean, he had like even that one. I remember the song. I just don't remember the title. But it was a good song. Like, to be honest with you, the music itself, in terms of music and comparing Tory Lanez music to Tory Lanez music, this may be the best music that we've gotten from Tory Lanez. I will say that because it's very introspective.
You'll be more familiar with that than me.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm a big Tory Lanez fan. Like, I think this is some of his best music, just because he tries to talk about like social issues and stuff. But I think this was a horrible decision by Tory. This is a horrible decision to put out this album because
this is kind of career ending. It could be.
It could be. It could be career ending just off the aspect of, we live in a world of public opinion, right? And him dropping, everybody was tuning in to see Tory Lanez go live. And when they realized there was an album coming out in the wake of this whole situation with Breonna Taylor, which many people, and granted, it's social media. So I take it with that grain of salt. It's social media itself. But on the wake of this Breonna Taylor verdict, you see people are saying like, this is extremely bad timing for Tory Lanez. Extremely bad timing. And then people start saying he's profiting off of the trauma of Meg Thee Stallion. But see, this is where, like, I think the general consensus by most people is this Tory album is something that it's him telling his own side of the story. But the problem is him telling his side of the story is no one believes you.
Here's my
Like,
thing, right? When you're telling your story about what happened to the chick, you don't got to be like, I got some nice bitches ready to have an orgy on the other song. You know what I mean?
yeah, son, exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, you're telling your story and you're sorry, but fuck them all. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, just
Life's an
like,
everyday struggle. Fuck them all. Fuck
like,
'em.
like, you know what I mean? It sounds like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, if he truly wants everybody to believe that he didn't do anything, and I don't know if he did or did not, but like, if he truly wants people to believe that, I guess you would also believe that he would be angry at people saying that he did. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I mean, you would think, but I think this was like an album where he just was fed up with everything, where he felt the need to lend his opinion to everything that was out there.
Right.
Because you hear a song like "Sorry But I Had to," where he disses everybody.
Yeah.
It's one of these situations where I talking to one of my homegirls, I asked her like, "Yo, like, what is your opinion?" Oh, I asked a couple female friends of mine, "What's their opinion?" Being black women, especially, and understanding the whole severity of this whole situation. The consensus is it was a horrible decision and bad timing.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
then it's also this whole thing of profiting off trauma of someone else. But then there's also this thing of even, and it wasn't until someone said something that when I listened to the music more, I recognized that this album comes from a defensive standpoint.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and like, because at first I'm just listening to it, and it's like I understand it from the standpoint of like, yo, I'm not going to sit here and just let someone talk, but it's like, yo, bro, you gotta. I think there's ways to have handled it, but
Here's the way I see it though, man. Like honestly, like if he really feels like he's innocent, I would just shut up till everything got dealt with. I'd be
yeah,
like, I don't have to say a word. Like it's all good because I know at the end of the day, like the verdict won't be anything but innocent because I know I didn't do it. You don't have to
yeah,
do something like this. Like, you
yeah,
know what I mean? And that's why like when I hear people getting mad at him on the situation, I don't blame them because like regardless if you consider the album to be good or bad, like doesn't necessarily make a difference. Like the way he presented himself in the serious matter was not good.
yeah, absolutely not, absolutely not, because it becomes this whole like the conversation he's trying to have is just like is this confusing thing because within the songs on this album, like you said, he's talking about like, yo, I just want my best friend back. She lied on me, but I'm willing to take the lie just because
Right.
I got all this love for her. But then it's like, yo, like I can get a new chick with no problem, and then
Exactly.
you're referring to her as like, yo, like
You
you
was
want
my
to,
bitch. Da 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 da.
yeah, like it's like, yeah, I can't believe it's like, yeah, I gotta stop trusting these hoes, and it's like, bro, like I I get the understand, I get it from some standpoint of just like the ego of being a male, right?
Right.
And the fragile ego you can have when like a woman plays you, right, as a guy. But in the same breath, like you're too grown for this, man. Like
How old is he?
whoever, huh?
How old is he?
Tory Lanez is probably like, he's got to be like 30.
Oh, for real?
He's
Oh, he's
got to be
younger.
like 30. I doubt it. Like I'll look it up, but like I think he's like 30 or something like that. But I don't know. To me, even nonetheless, it doesn't even matter how old he really is.
Right.
It's just like, oh, he's 28. Like even at 28, like you should just know, yo, I'm too old to be doing something like this. And like I'm quite sure because now one of the things I'm seeing is that people are saying because he was quiet for 2 months. When you're quiet for 2 months, now all of a sudden the conversation is now that you've decided to put out an album to talk about all of this, the question becomes, well, why couldn't you say if you're innocent, why couldn't you say anything for the past 2 months? Especially after Meg comes out on Instagram Live. Now, one, I believe I believe he wouldn't say anything because his team wasn't going to allow him to. Because in that Instagram caption, it came across, and even in some of his music, it comes across that people in his team are either backing away from him because they don't want anything to do with him anymore.
Right.
Because it sounds like he lost friends, some people in the industry, so on and so forth. But it also sounds like he's just like, yo, I'm tired of hearing what's going on in the media, how the portrayal that they're having of me. So it comes across very defensive, and it's like it comes across defensive, and it's like, yo, I don't care what people are saying, I need to speak. But it's like if you're going to take that route, you mess yourself up because now people want to know if you're going to run around saying you're innocent now, Why wouldn't you just say this after the allegations are happened? You know
Because
what I'm
he's trying to
saying?
get some money off it. That's
Yeah.
why. You know what I
But see,
mean?
I don't even think the money part is a thing though, because when, like, and this is my only discrepancy with this whole thing, because I do agree that it shouldn't have happened. But my thing is, if you putting out an album, well, when you're putting out a body of music, typically good artists and good music is typically reflective of the artist's life. And sometimes it's stuff that we see as fans in the media. And typically the artist will go back and talk about it in more in depth in the music. To me, I think from an artist standpoint, I think putting out music was the best option for him. I don't agree with it. I think he should have stayed quiet until this whole thing was over. If he's innocent, especially, it's nothing wrong with an artist putting out music that's reflective of the questions that you have. Because when you look at and this is by no means the severity is not the same at all. But when you look at Beyonce, that elevator, 444, that was the number of that building when Jay-Z, when it was Jay-Z, Solange, and Beyonce all in that elevator. And you know what we got out of that? We got three great albums: Seat at the Table, Lemonade, and 444. Right, but all those albums were pretty much depictions of the events the more of the events and details behind a lot of that stuff prior coming towards that moment. Right,
Yeah.
or things that the things that could have built up from possibly Hove cheating on her, and that's what Lemonade was, to Jay-Z realizing I was willing to risk my life and all of this, and almost getting in a fight with my girl's sister and all of this shit. Like, and then even Solange is like this whole loving yourself and pretty much like you shouldn't be taking this type of stuff from a man, i.e. probably her talking about her sister. So it's like when you have artists, and we praise artists for that. Granted, this is a very sensitive subject, so I understand that. But if someone's putting in their music, I'm innocent, I can't sit here and say like, now if he's getting on there just to brag about shooting her, dude, you're an idiot, you're an imbecile, and I could never support someone's music like that ever whatsoever, right? But if he's innocent, if he's guilty, I don't want to be bothered with his music at all. But because it's something about it that's kind of weird.
But look though, here's what I have to say. Like at this point in time, it's pointing more in that direction for me personally. I don't know what's going on, but it's hard for me to really look at it strongly either way. And just like I see it as like it's a bad decision, and he's telling his side. I don't really think what he did was okay, and that's all I can really say. You know what I mean? Regardless if he was innocent or not, and that's all I can really say because I can't feel too strongly about it either way because the story has some conflicts in there as to what actually happened.
Right. Like, so just, I know there's not only so much you can really say, but when you look at this whole thing, right? Being that we all say we don't agree with him putting out the album, do you think there was a better alternative for him to get out his opinion?
No, shut up. He shouldn't.
Right.
Like let everything else speak for him. Like if he's truly innocent, just don't say anything. It's been too long for him to not say anything to say something.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. It's a straddled fence for me at the end of the day, because like I straddle a fence there because it's part of me saying yes, like you shouldn't say anything. Because I agree you shouldn't say anything, but I also understand sometimes your silence when you're just getting like they were literally I don't know if y'all saw it, but when they had like petitions, people were creating petitions to get him kicked out of the country at some point because of this. And like they were doing well on like getting that petition fully signed. So I think when you're seeing that, I can see from that standpoint of you're seeing all of this play out in the media and you're trying to stay quiet and say, yo, the best thing I can do is not say anything. It's like, it becomes one of those situations where eventually you're going to have to say something and something has to be addressed. And do you expect, if he had decided not to had he decided not to talk about anything and he decided just to put out music, what happens then? Like, I think people will kill him more if he had just said, well, I'm going to just put out music that is not related to the situation, but I'm going to put something out for my fans that are still willing to listen to me. Like, people would kill him because then it would be like, well, why are you putting out an album and you don't even want to talk about what happened in the music? You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like fans are very finicky to that to some extent with that.
I hear you. I don't know. Like, it's just one of those things where I think we're just gonna have to let it play out, I guess, and just see what happens as far as like, you know, like there's a lot to be said and not a lot of proof to work off of other than that we know that somebody got shot. Shouts out to Meg Thee Stallion and you know, all of the good shit.
Yeah, you could tell he kind of because you know how he did small or whatever. You could tell he kind of was like he kind of revved up that gear because I don't know if you saw that, but DJ Academics even started dissing Rory
randomly. He's like, "You are a little nigga." Da 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 da. He likes doing this. He likes trying to make people feel small, I guess, when they come at him.
Yeah, and it's like, and even it was so funny because the wild part is him and Rory are like the same age. And like you saw, it was really crazy watching it because he's like, "Yo, I got more money than you. You like a little dude to me. I'm the big homie. Blah blah blah." So like he's taking on that persona.
So can I make a comment about the Tubbyman? Like the Academics, he's part of like the new generation rapper crowd, right? He's your Lil TJs and rappers like that, right?
Right.
They like him. They catered. He's like the forefront of them. But like real rappers or rappers in the past generations, they can't stand him. He's trying to make it where like being a keyboard warrior is cool, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what he's talking shit behind a computer screen, but he's not gonna talk this shit with people in front of them. To me, it's just like, man, what a crazy time we live in, man. What a crazy time. Because I'm like, I don't know how long this is going to last, but the day that somebody meets him face to face, that they're not necessarily a big fan of him and don't like some of the things he's saying, it might turn out pretty bad for him, man.
Well, I mean, you heard Quavo was, you know, saying that he just wanted to show him some new music with the fist sign right behind it.
He was like, yo, matter of fact, Academics, meet up with me. I just want to talk to you. I want to play some new music for you.
Yeah.
I promise it's just gonna be beats. Like it's crazy, man. Like, I don't know. I think Academics is in a space where we all know what's going on with Academics. I think he has a drinking problem.
Yeah.
And even like, and I say that because even we've all seen it where from him passing out on his Twitch, it is, right? I think it's Twitch. He passing out on Twitch to just barking on people on Twitter. Even like at one point, I honestly I blame Young Chop for all of this, to be honest with you. I'm serious because like granted, we saw Academics talk his stuff time to time, but never like this. It wasn't until we saw those videos of Young Chop, which I don't know whatever happened to him.
Yeah, he was shooting at people from his porch and everything. It was crazy.
Yeah, and then this was this year.
Yeah. Like, did happen. That's crazy. That was earlier this year?
Yeah, that was in the beginning of quarantine. That was like in April. Because he was dissing, that's when he was dissing 21 Savage and all of that. But a lot of people said like he had some stuff going on in his life, unfortunately, because of the passing of his family and everything.
Right.
But a lot of people were saying even then with someone like him, yo, you got all of this, you're doing all of this stuff where you're saying this because we're in quarantine and nobody can go outside. And I think Academics is taking heed to that and hasn't taken heed to that and is mashing the gas on that. Because when you look at it, it's like, fam, you're instigating stuff like Lau said. You're not saying this stuff to anybody, and when you see them, you saw what happened. You saw how white his face got when Vic Mensa said to him, like, you know, when they were at Everyday Struggle back in the day. And he was like, you know, if we wasn't on the set right now because I really don't like you, I'll punch you in the face. Like,
and I don't know if you guys remember when Jeezy checked him, right? When on Everyday Struggle, because Jeezy was talking about like something street related, forgot the actual words, and Academic was like, I can understand. He was like, no, you won't. No, you can't understand because you've never been a part of that and you're not about that. And Academic stood quiet. Like, it is just kind of like, look, the thing about Academics, why I think like a lot of people were starting to fuck with him at first when he was doing the YouTube shit and all that, because he was kind of like he came out like a reporter. He was just reporting on fucking hood news and shit.
Yeah,
And
just the
then,
random shit that nobody knew about, and it was kind of
right.
funny.
It
Which
was funny.
a lot
Yeah.
of people didn't like that who were involved
Yeah.
because it was their real lives. You know what I mean?
Yo,
And-
well, not go.
Go ahead and make your point loud.
I was just gonna say, like, finish my point up, like, what twisted and turned him, what became where people stopped liking him, was like he started voicing his opinion. He started being. It's like the referee in a fight. When the referee is trying to become the motherfucking star, it's like, all right, hold up, ref. You're only here to referee. The
That's
show's
actually
not
perfect.
the show's not about you, and that's the. And I feel like that's the feeling that he's giving right now. Like, like shut the fuck up, you know?
Yeah, I mean, but I think unfortunately, one thing we can't deny with academics is he. I'm not going to say he's the first person because you had people that reported like hood news before, but he is the person that, at the end of the day, he is at the forefront of holding that staff and taking it the furthest, because it got him from being a kid that was just in his college dorm to being a media personality. Yeah. But I think when he went to Everyday Struggle, it showed there was a thing that people realized, like, yo, this works. And I can like become somebody else. I can become a media figure doing this. And I think for academics, he probably realized that he has a lot of kids. He has a lot of kids out here that are like I was watching a YouTube series. I guess it's like on Chicago gangs or whatever, right? And it was called the Oblakians. Like, but like, you
what
know,
are we doing, man? Like, what are we doing here? Like, for real?
Yeah. It was like, oh yeah, these are the Oblakians. Like, and in the video, he referred to the people from Oblak as Oblakians. Like, just another Oblakian that unfortunately passed. Like,
all right.
But like,
I hear you.
But we all know that comes from academics, though. Like, and I think for academics, he's at a point where at the end of the day, he's at the pinnacle of success right now for himself. Like, this is the highest amount of success he has. He's bought like a $2 million home, right? You go on YouTube, you're seeing people saying Oblakians and shit like that. So these are like people that are like, he pretty much paved the way for these people. And then on top of it, some of the rappers that he was watching at that time, from the Dirks to the Little Reese's to the G Herbos to the Chief Keefs, these are like people that are iconic stars within the culture, at least. You know what I'm saying? At least for what academics did, and you add them to it. Like, I still be looking up what Lil J. There's an interview with a new little interview with Lil J, the Wolverine. Like,
oh god.
Like,
all right, man. We're digging too deep into this shit. Let's keep fanboy. Let's keep it moving. Because I know exactly what you're talking about.
But I let me just finish my last point by saying this, is that when you look at all of that stuff, I think academics is on a high of success. And I think because he's doing there's a lot of excessive drinking. Now, I don't know what that could be from. I mean, I don't know, so I can never guarantee. But for many people seeing to say, yo, there's an outcry, he needs help, right? It's probably there's a possibility that maybe because of the person he is normally, that we all know the type of person he seems to be, more than likely, he's probably realized most people think once I get money, once I got money, I'll be cool. And I think for him, he probably is coming to that reality that, yo, he's not a cool guy. No one looks at him with any respect. And I think he does a lot of drinking. And his first thing he does now is put your bank account against my bank account. Right. Because I think he finds value in himself now just because of money. And I think I think we're really seeing, unless I hope he goes to like rehab or something, because we seeing like
the end, essentially is what you're saying.
Man, it's that 6ix9ine shit, man. And that's the whole bank account shit. Like, I'm gonna compare my bank account to yours. And when he was telling Freddie Gibbs, like, oh, I couldn't wait to do this to one of you rappers. Like, that's corny, bro.
Yeah.
That's ultra corny. Like, let's say he does have more money than Freddie Gibbs. Like, that doesn't prove anything. There's going to be more people that's willing out there respecting Freddie Gibbs in the industry than respecting you. Like that. Like you're right now, man. He's kind of like he has this dark cloud over his head, and of course, all the trolls and the young kids that inside mommy's and daddy's house, they're gonna support him. But like the people that's like real, genuine people, they look at it like this is just this guy's a fucking joke. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As a person, like, yeah, he's successful doing what he's doing, and kudos to him for doing that. But like, as a human being, he's a fucking joke.
Well, I mean, like I'm not sure if you saw, but like to kind of move on from this, his former coworker, Joe Budden, he announced this week that he's going to be starting the Joe Budden Network.
Yeah, it's Joe Budden TV has now been changed to Joe Budden Network on his YouTube page, and he signed up. I think he presented three new guests, and one was like Mandy, another was Roxy, and I forget the other person. I wasn't familiar with the other woman, but
I'm not gonna lie, I might listen to that podcast.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hold you. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Mandy B because she's actually one of the co-hosts of Horrible Decisions.
I saw that. It's interesting.
Yeah, which is a podcast that is on Charlemagne's network.
Exactly. Interesting.
So I'm very curious to see how that works because she's going to be doing her show that she's always done with Weezy, but now she's going to be on a new show. And I think this new show is going to be, I mean, who knows? Who knows? Because I think this dynamic is interesting, but I think, I'm going to just say my opinion because I think I just see something special that's happening with Mandy overall because I've followed her for years now. So I think seeing something like this and knowing like they've all been in the same circle, same shows, blah, blah, blah. And now you're seeing like, oh, Joe's adding this as a show. You can tell like, for one, he picked the right demographic. He has 3 black women, which are like beautiful black women that they're all beautiful. They all
sir.
Like they're all beautiful. They're smart as well. They know how to get their points across, but they also know how to have like they're also fun loving people. Cause just because I only say that because I've heard Rocky and I've heard Mandy B plenty of times. I've heard Mandy B more of because I've listened to Horrible Decisions every so often. But I think what Joe is on pace to do is going to be something amazing. I really can't wait to see it. Honestly.
Yeah, it's going to be great to see.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you start talking about like ownership and everything like that, you start seeing like, even I saw a comment that said that about like Charlemagne, where like those 50-50 splits ain't what he probably punching a room right now, looking at them 50-50 splits versus what he's seeing Joe going through right now. So,
well, I mean, the way I see it is like it's gonna be great to see what happens. You know what I mean? Like I'm curious to see what happens. I'm not gonna lie. I said a few weeks ago I wouldn't be willing to pay $2 or $3 for a subscription. I might. We'll see because I want to support. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I also wanted to say, before we jump into our next subject, that the Steelers are about to be 3-0, and we just beat the Texans.
Boo! Boo!
Boo! Get out of here!
You just beat the Texans. Shouts out to Pittsburgh.
They won't be there long. They won't be there long. Trust me.
Hey, I'm just saying, 3-0. 3-0 is not looking so bad,
Hey, next thing you know,
can your team say that? Can your team say that loud?
Hey, listen. Hopefully you're gonna be sick once they put y'all on quarantine. And next thing you know, it's like, oh, there's no more games. Steelers had a decent season. It's done.
Well, funny you say that. The first football player that was in the active season got taken away from the Falcons today. If I'm not mistaken, it was a cornerback. Can't remember his name. Yeah. But, I mean, we'll see how that goes because also, I guess in further news with the coronavirus, they said that it's mutating. So we are going to get sicker, faster.
I ain't surprised. That's not surprising, man. I'll be honest with you, it's not surprising just because we are still going outside. I don't even have to say much. Y'all typically when y'all hear me talk, sometimes I'm very long-winded. But I'm going to just keep it honest with you. It's because we're still going outside. The virus mutates. That's my TED talk. That's all. That's my TED talk, man. Like that's the truth. Like, all right, if we were to shut down everything, like do it just how other countries did it, like very systematic,
You're gonna lose a lot of
breaking
money.
it. Yeah, tons of money, and who knows to what extent that leads to. But yeah, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. It's crazy. I
I
don't
was
even know
about
what
to
to
say,
say.
like, that kind of fits into what Kanye West is trying to do. You know what I mean? Trying to give his people back more money.
Yeah, put them. He's trying to put his artists on that platinum plan. That's what that is.
He's trying to quote unquote give 50% of the masters that he owns from each artist back to them. What do y'all think about this, Lau? What do you think about this?
I think it's like I believe it when I see it type of shit. And what Kanye right now, has said a whole lot of things in the past couple of weeks, and I don't know how much of it is true and how much of it is hey, that I need the attention. And after the whole kind of like Spence debunked like the whole mental illness thing, it's just like I, I really lost a lot of like hope or whatever for Kanye. More or less, it's kind of like, look, man, if he's not dropping music, I could care less to really talk about him because there's nothing positive coming from the dude at all right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a positive thing, but I think him giving the Masters back is a positive thing. But I'm with you in the sense of like just the whirlwind that he chooses to create just to get whatever he's trying to ask for, because
It's a good cause if he's actually
yeah,
going for it, though.
it is. It's a great cause. I think it's something that's needed, and I won't oppose something like that because you need. I think in order to correct the system, sometimes it has to start with us, right?
Mm.
This isn't one of those all type of synopses or anything like that. But I think when you look at someone like Diddy, for instance, right? When
Mm.
people are talking about like, okay, where Diddy's telling where you if you have someone, it'd be like seeing someone like Diddy telling people, "Oh, we need to be fighting to get masters." If he was going back and forth with Sony about like the rights to certain songs, right? You would say, "Well, okay, I get that, Puff, but you still got you." Well, now he let the locks go, but like you had you had Mace on a contract for like 20 years, pretty much. Like, so it becomes one of those things where it starts with yourself. So I'm happy to see this. Hopefully that means something. I'm hoping more of like the handling of artists gets better at good music too, though. Did they even say like this is something Kanye tweeted? This wasn't even like something that was actually real.
No. We don't know what he's actually doing. So I mean, shouts out to the situation, and we hope that these artists do get their money.
Man, if it's a tweet, Kanye might just delete that shit and be like, it never happened, yo.
Shouts out to good music. Tiana Taylor put out a great album this year.
Yeah,
Shouts out to them.
her.
Shouts out to Big Sean.
Yeah, shout outs to Pusha T.
Shouts out to
Shout outs
Pusha
to
T.
shout outs to Pusha T. Fucking I think Valet's still signed to them also. And they got another young boy out there that's like of this new era of music. I haven't listened to him yet though. Pusha T put him up on his Instagram page though. But long story short though, I'm curious to see what's going. We're all curious to see what's going to happen with this whole Kanye thing. Um, I think in overall though, I don't think there's much. I don't think we have much left, really. Right?
No, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
shout outs to Deion Sanders for becoming the new head coach of Jackson State University. So hopefully, I'm curious to see what's going to come from that. Just because of hopefully he's able to build these kids from HBCUs and
Yeah.
help them go pro. So
Yeah. Shouts out to him. See, it's good. It's a good thing for sure.
exactly, definitely is. So
Lau,
oh
you got any?
I
My bad, because Lau looked like he's about to say something.
oh nah, go ahead, La.
Everybody, just make sure if you have a chance, tune in to Action Bronson's latest album, Only for Dolphins. The production is A1. It's a good, solid album to ride around to, vibe to. It's good music. Everybody definitely do that. Everybody tune in to the football games. It seems like there's been some close games today, so tune into that. Everybody be safe, of course, as always. Even though that a lot more people are going out partying and girls shaking their ass. Be safe and put a mask on. You know what I mean? And that's all I have to say.
I feel you on that. I definitely will say, because I finally had a chance to play the Action Bronson album. Uh, Great album. Hopefully, maybe next week, because we running close on time. Hopefully next week we can get a little bit more into like his album, or maybe we could review it or some shit like that. Who knows? But hopefully we can get into his album or something like that maybe next week or whatever. But his show, it's a good album. I definitely suggest everybody check that out. Check the Problem album out too. Coffee and Kush too. That shit is hard too. That joint is hard. So
Oh, one last thing, and maybe Nigel can attest to this. For everybody still stressing about PlayStation 5 pre-orders, it's a-okay if you can't get one. It's okay.
People are ready to
You know,
sacrifice family members over that shit, man.
people,
that's serious.
I'm on Twitter. I'm seeing people camping out 11 p.m. at night,
Look,
4:30 in the morning. I'm like, look, relax.
To pre-order?
yeah,
To pre-order.
I showed up at
That's
GameStop.
ridiculous.
GameStop was supposed to have in-person pre-orders ready. I went there. I was like, all right, cool, 11 o'clock, because people are going to be out here because it opened at 12. I get up there to the front of the line. They say, yo, they only got 8 in this bitch, and all eight people are here, and we've been here since like 7 o'clock last night. And I was like,
so what are you
damn.
doing here?
I didn't. Yeah, they were like, just get out because you're not going to be able to get this shit.
Yeah. Hold on, Tom. So someone in line said this to you.
Yes.
So hold on. Why are they sitting there if all 8 people are there?
They were in the front of the line. That's why they said that.
Okay,
they were number 1 of 8.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I got you. I was about to say like that's ridiculous. People doing that like they camping out for Jordans or something, man.
Yeah, well, and I think that's ridiculous too. You know,
It is.
why are you camping out for Jordans or, PlayStation, all that? I mean, I was able to get myself a PlayStation, but from the comfort of my own home. I'm not going outside, sleeping in my car, or setting up a tent just for me to go in the store and spend $500 for a game console that I'm not going to get for another month or two.
Man.
Like
Hey, yo,
that's ridiculous.
yeah,
What's
quick,
up? What's up?
I was gonna say it's a quick question. How y'all feel about about Amazon creating a game, having their own game system, where it's like you pay $6 a month? It's like $50.
I think it's a streaming service.
Yeah, it's a gaming streaming service.
I think it's interesting.
No, I'm not opposed to it, right? Because like Xbox is they're doing that with their what they call Game Pass, right? So it's a streaming subscription, like it's like a Netflix for games. And now Amazon doing it, I think
Man.
it's interesting. I think it's healthy for the market because competition produces great things, but like it's just kind of like they've never been in video games before, so let's see how they are. I guess ain't nothing to knock about it, in my opinion.
Here's the way I see it, right? You got more options. Eventually, people are going to start paying less.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. You know what I mean? So if it's another person there, as long as they're not like spreading out the game. So like if exclusives are spread out so far to where you can only play one on like every other console, like there's like 7, then you don't really want that type of situation. But like what you do want are lower prices for streaming games, which honestly, if you have an online pass, then maybe you don't even want to pay for that game pass anywhere. So I understand that.
Yeah, because I mean, and like y'all know, I'm not big in a gamer or nothing like that, but just from my understanding of it, it's like I'm not even gonna hold you. When I saw it, and I'm not big into doing subscriptions, I was like, I would pay for that because for me, I'm like, okay, $50. You pay $50 for a controller, and I just pay $6 a month to play a game anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I could pull up to one of y'all crib, as long as I got my controller. I could be like, yo, I'm gonna just log into my account, and it's just because everything's on the cloud. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think for people that are super super casual, like I think this may be a thing for super casuals. But I do know I did see some
like Call of Duty on that bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I think if they're able to either get exclusives or something that's worthwhile, that's like a good exclusive, of course. Like I think people will probably say, "Hey, I could pay $6 for this," and more than likely, it might not work right now, but by the time that hopefully in their case, they may be doing something where they can do re-release, they can do new updates. hopefully year by year. So they'll probably bring in more money over time in comparison to like PlayStation stuff. So
Right.
because that stuff,
Yeah.
you'll have this new PlayStation probably won't get a new one for probably maybe like 10 years after this.
Yeah, man, and I agree with your point, Spence, right? Because I think it's good for casuals and for people who don't really play a lot of video games. I don't like to say casual because it sounds like prejudice or whatever.
Right.
But for people who don't play a lot of video games, I think it's good for them because they're like, look, I like playing, but I'm just not really into it. So
Right.
for them, it's kind of like it's like perfect for them. While PlayStation, on the other hand, like for me and Nigel, we wanted, so we're going to spend the money. But when you really sit back and look at it, for the average consumer, it's going to get expensive, right? Because now they're talking about bumping games up to $70, and
Jesus.
and for people that's already buying these video games, they're going to be like, damn, I might not buy as much video games now. I might just buy one video game every 3 months now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because you're buying $2 or $3 $70 video games in a month. It's like, damn, I could have put this money towards
Away.
elsewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
And
on
not
top
use it.
and then on top of it, think about the person that's like they buy the console just so they can play like 3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
Like because you have like the people that are like, yo, I buy the PlayStation so I can play Call of Duty, 2K, Madden, and maybe like 1 or 2 other games, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe just keep it in that rotation. Well, if you're spending $700 on the console for just to play, what would that be like $210 if just for 3 games, we'll say at least.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, yo, fam, you just spent like almost $1,000. You're damn near close to $1,000 if you add 5 games to it and then buy another controller. You're well over $1,000.
Yeah.
It's like, or you could just pay $6 a month, pay $50 for this controller, and if you can get the same. If I could get 2K on Amazon, you think I'm going to pay for the PlayStation when I could just pay $6 a month and I just got a $50 controller and I'm good to go and I'm playing just like you playing? Shit.
Well, it could be good for the game developers too, because like let's say if you just have that regular access to a game like a Call of Duty or something like that, then exclusives are going to get really big because like people are going to really need a reason to go to these consoles, and they'd be like, hey man, like if you want, we could just put this shit out everywhere and everybody can play it, and like just get our own money off of it. And now they won't have the backing, but I mean like that's probably why like exclusives will never die. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think when you have something like you know how we see like Fortnite, right? How
Right.
Fortnite exploded into what it is to now. Like if you have like you said, like if you got developers that are like, let's say we all had I had a teacher at least that he was working on developing a video game when I was in high school. And he was like, yeah, you got to figure out where to put it out at if I want to put it to people versus, Amazon might end up setting a section up that's just like indie games that you might have your next Fortnite in that indie section. And Amazon's probably going to be like, oh, well, this is where it's the biggest platform and you don't have to worry about money or anything. So we just going to sign you to a contract or something.
So on and so on. Well, I mean, you got anything else to say, Spence?
Nah, not really. Drink your water. My prayers and condolences go to the family of Breonna Taylor,
Definitely.
Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd. So I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna try to remember everybody's name because unfortunately it's a long list of people. My prayers and condolences. Yes, unfortunately. Prayers goes to them, even the people that are out there protesting. Even to the people that are actually there to protect protesters as well, right? But doing it safely. My thing is I'm all for anybody that's willing to sit down at the table to have a conversation. So my prayers goes out to in the protection for all those parties on both sides. So, I mean, outside of that, drink your water. Prayers to all those families, the people that are out there supporting, mashing them streets, mashing the grass, trying to make a change in this world. And yeah, that's really it. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Have a good week. I mean, before you know it, we're going to be back here. We're going to be out Saturday. I hope you enjoy your weekend.
All right, y'all. Y'all been highly advised. I don't have much to say. Enjoy your weekend. Stay true. Do all that good shit.
Boom,
You've been highly advised.
Boom, 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 boom.